name is George, and this is my ME 1301 Lab 6 submission. So, for this lab, task 1 was replicating task 2 from lab 1, only on Arduino C commands. So, this is my thing. This is the one where we have a LED blinking, and then when we push a button, it switches how fast it's blinking. So this is my commands here. I initialize my pins and their variables. Make my pin modes into output and input for the LED. Output for the LED, input for the button. And then I have a while loop. If my flag is 0, I read my pin and switch the flag. Then I have this stuff to do the thing, and then I have the same thing. I read the digital pin again, and then I have a different loop. So if I upload this to my Arduino, you should see the button start blinking. Right now, so there it's blinking fast, and if I push this, there we go, it blinks slower. Fast again, slowly. And that's the first task. So then for the second task, we create a program that takes an input string between 3 and 8 letters, write the letters using the XY table, and it basically just writes the letters that I take. So I start off by clearing on, then I write my XY table, set it to home, set up some counters that keeps track of how many letters I've drawn and my X position. Then while my letters drawn is less than or equal to 8, it draws a maximum of 8 letters. I display, press the letter on the keyboard, and if my letters is greater than 3, I also say press 0 to end the program. Then I wait for my button press, and it takes my input string and then sets it as a string. Then if my input string is 48, so if 0 was pressed basically, I set my letters drawn to 8, so it stops the program and just exits the loop. Then if my spacebar is pressed, I draw a space and increase my position. If my input string was 65 or 97, which is just uppercase and the lowercase a, it draws A, and then it does that for every single letter of the alphabet, all the way to Z. And then at the end, my letters drawn is equal to the previous value of letters drawn plus 1. So it increases the number of letters drawn by 1. So if I run this, I quickly have to wait for it to overwrite the Arduino. Okay. So if I push A, it draws an A. Wait, this is, yeah. If I push a B, it draws B. I draws I. Over there. If I push E, it draws E. If I push O, it draws O. And then if I push 0, it just ends the program. So that was lab 2. And then finally for lab 3, this is the create an XY table Etch-a-Sketch. We're supposed to use 1 potentiometer and 2 push buttons. But I actually have 2 potentiometers, so I used that instead. But I also have here the code that I would have used if I used the buttons. So If I use the buttons, I set my potentiometer, my left and right buttons. I wouldn't have this, but I would have an X counter to count my movements in X. Then I have an infinite loop. If my right button is pushed, I set the X counter equal to a previous value for X counter and increase it by 0.25. If my left button was the same, I decrease by 0.25. Then I end. Then I constrain my X counter between 0 and 11.5 so that it's always between 0 and 11.5. Then I would fast move my X to my X counter value, comma, potentiometer to Y conversion times the read voltage of a potentiometer. But since I have two potentiometers, I just set up my two different converting variables, pot to X and pot to Y. I set my X and Y potentiometer analog pins. Then I just fast move to the X, Y value of the potentiometers. So if I run this, it's gonna take a little bit because it has to rewrite the Arduino. So it says it's gonna take a few minutes. But yeah, I have a brother who's also doing ME1301, and then I also bought some more potentiometers for like $1 off Adafruit, so that's how I got more than one potentiometer. Okay. It should start running any minute now. Here we are. So my XY table came up. And then if I move my potentiometer, let's just do the X one, you see that it moved up here. And then if I move my Y, it also moves up. And then if I move both of them real fast, I can do stuff like this. And yeah, that should be lab free. Thank you.